Looks like this. They're cheap. They're inexpensive. Look, the Blue Yoda, always the best. Why haven't they done action figures of these concepts? Yeah, right. They do the Star Wars concept action figures all the time now. AKAPAD, tragedy has struck. As I was prepping to record this video, I dropped my Stark Industries coffee mug, and this mug has been with me for, oh my god, maybe even like 10 years now. And I'm a little upset because I love this mug, and whenever I use this mug, it just always just inspired me to keep creating, keep going, never slowing down, because in a way, yeah, that's how I view Tony Stark in probably like what we will call the Iron Man trilogy, where he's constantly chipping at that oak, trying to create something of true significance while creating things of true significance. And in a way, that's an allegory for this very channel. Guys, let's just get into it. AKAPAD here, Peter A. DeLuca. We're still talking Star Wars. And here we're talking Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. This is not a typical comic book. This was available in this box here. So you would buy, and we still call it Slave 1. You buy Slave 1, Shadows of the Empire, and you get yourself a little comic book. And the more I went through this, and I found this I was dollar bin diving not long ago, and I thought this was an absolute find. This was an absolute treat because, number one, I love promo books. Number two, I love adaptations for different reasons, and maybe we'll do a separate video on that. But now this book is becoming more and more significant as we're seeing an absolute decline in Star Wars. And by decline, I'm defining that of how the modern audience is absorbing the material. We're getting an absolute rejection of everything on the Star Wars front. So when that happens, and for Star Wars, it's very common. It happens a couple times per generation. We look back, and when we look back, we find good things. We find veins. We find a lot of stuff that's forgotten. And I want to introduce this to all of you because we have a Star Wars artist. His name's Killian Pluckett. He is absolutely phenomenal. Legendary artist. He can draw the Star Wars vehicles through memory. And that was somewhat detailed in some of the Shadows of the Empire press material. But we have this like Boba Fett adventure here. And what we get with Shadows of the Empire, it's like we know it's coming. And I know there's so many individuals in the fandom that are impatient. But we will have a generation of creators that come in and they fill in the blanks between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. They will explain things and fill in the blanks from movie to movie, from moment to moment. And a lot of these things that seem to pop up, like Snoke becoming a clone or a failed clone all of a sudden, or the sudden return of Emperor Palpatine. This will be analyzed. This will be corrected. There will be content that perfectly explains everything. And for the generation coming up, this will be the lore that they will explain to the next generation. And that's really how Star Wars is built. At this time, at the time of Shadows of the Empire, this was filling in the blank that we all debated. What exactly happened with Han Solo and Boba Fett from Empire Strikes Back to Jabba the Hutt's palace and Return of the Jedi? What exactly transpired? How did Boba Fett transport? And we get into some of that. What other battles did the Rebels have? What other characters could our Trinity, Luke, Han, Leia, encounter? And we have Dash Rendar with that. So we fill in ideas of Chewbacca and even Luke Skywalker wearing disguises. Now, we saw that in New Hope. We saw that with Leia at Jabba's palace. But let's add to that. Let's expand on that. So that's also a big element of Shadows of the Empire. But what we're getting into here is exactly how to do a promo comic book, exactly how to add to the conversation for the next generation, and why it's important today. So we're just going to hit that drawing table. It's a thin book, but I really do want to show off some of this artwork because I love it, and I dig the way how this book was put together. And let's just detail it all. Let's hit that drawing table, rock and roll.
aka Patters, before we get into Shadows of the Empire, the Star Wars promo comic, say hello to Crypt. And as you can see here, we don't have the book. We have From Star Wars to Indiana Jones, the best of the Lucasfilm archives. Paperback book. At one time, I believe this was a hardcover. I just wanted to remind everyone, and I absolutely always loved this cover. This is design symmetry, the concept artwork to what ends up on screen, and we see that here with Indiana Jones's hat as well. I just want to remind everyone that there's a tactile, a practical art idea that's fading away. And I'm talking about markers, I'm talking about colored pencils. We highlight, and look, check out Luke's first design for the lane speeder right here. Isn't that wild? There's something to material and paper, okay? We're in an age where a lot of that is being lost. A lot of that is fading. Books like this, they're cheap, they're inexpensive. Look, the Blue Yoda, always the best. Why haven't they done action figures of these concepts? You know, right? They do the Star Wars concept action figures all the time now. Here, look, here's Vader and Luke in the Emperor's Palace, which is a underground cavern. So, we respect and we love Star Wars, but the root of Star Wars comes from the artist, the designer, the concept designer, and a blank sheet of paper, not a blank screen. But I just wanted to showcase this because I think it's important when we get into this comic book. Because this comic book, and let me correct myself, this may have came with the Boba Fett IG-88. These were 2-packs, and Darth Vader, Prince Shizor. These were two 2-packs that did come with the comic book. So maybe this book it didn't come with Slave 1. I thought these two came with the same book, and maybe someone out there can correct me. I try and do some level of research before we do videos. It's hard to get into every crevice of everything. This occurred to me after I shot that intro. Why do I love this book so much? Because we have, I don't know if you guys can hear, but this is newsprint. And if we look close, hopefully you guys can see the newsprint. I mean, this is a cheap book, but it is so, like I said, the feeling of this book, as loose and flimsy and newsprinty that it is, the way it feels on your hand, it's great. And we're kind of in the world where everything is still practical. We have a wonderful Ken Stacy cover. If you're not familiar with Ken Stacy, you have to look up a book called Tempest Fugitive. It was a 4-issue prestige format DC comic books miniseries that is highly overlooked, underrated. But even the Star Wars logo, if we really like, we're airbrushing the Shadows of the Empire. Perfect fade, perfect beveling here. All pre-Photoshop and Adobe taking everything over. I mean, I love the sparkles and the shines here. And we have Boba Fett facing off against IG-88. IG-88 is trying to get off a quick blaster round. Boba Fett has his rocket punch right into IG-88's face. And then we have the Boba Fett Slave 1 ship versus the IG-88 ship. These are the things that Shadows of the Empire did fantastically. I hate the current commentary for Shadows of the Empire because getting to see IG-88's ship was effing cool. It really was. At that point, we already knew what Slave 1 looked like. We already knew what Boba Fett looked like. But seeing more of IG-88 and this whole exchange here and this idea of the droid of IG-88, I mean, it resonates right into The Mandalorian. And people want to say that Shadows of the Empire was trash and offbeat. Shadows of the Empire perfectly fed into everything that was already in this collective consciousness of Star Wars. Meaning, Boba Fett's going to take Han Solo. And here we go. Killian Plunkett here, guys. P. Craig Russell, fantastic inker. I always enjoyed these like little digs that P. Craig Russell did, like right here, and just the what the debris is and the rust and just the destroyed, the used future, the used universe. Everything is used in Star Wars. Plunkett and Russell, great combination to get this. But we have Boba Fett coming out of hyperspace. He has Han Solo. And look at this. I mean, like, I love this illustration. I love the green for the next page. But as soon as he comes out of hyperspace, he encounters slave IG-88. And IG-88 sends a decoy. This is a decoy drone ship. Boba Fett's like, wrong, too easy. It has to be a decoy. Again, these are the things we expect Boba Fett to learn. I love, too, in Boba Fett's cockpit, it's green. So, like, we know, like, even here, and we talk about color cues a lot, everyone. How perfect is this? We know Boba Fett is stepping out of his cockpit. He's stepping out, and then he's stepping back in, and he's green when he's inside the cockpit. Really nice stuff. And look at this Han Solo illustration here. Yeah, and we're going to have a space battle, a Star War, if you will, everyone. Coming out of hyperspace behind us, a neat trick. Boba Fett just nukes. He nukes IG-88 so well in outer space that IG-88's head just blast. It just comes right at you. And you know, if this was a movie, right? Like, this is almost like when they make fun of some of the Star Wars shots and Star Wars explosions. This head is what comes like right to the viewer. I don't care. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, Boba Fett is free and clear. It appears we'll be keeping each other's company for a while, Solo. So let's not hope too much longer. So during this, Boba Fett at this point just fled Cloud City. We have the entire Rebel army, the Rebel front, chasing after Boba Fett to get Han Solo. They need Han Solo back. The Battle of Hoth just happened, and during the Battle of Hoth, we have this guy, Dash Rendar. Dash Rendar was somewhat of a hero at the Battle of Hoth. He's very much like Han Solo. He's a smuggler, but he's on the side of the rebellion. People want to say he's a Han Solo replacement. It's always been an issue with me that they never went back to Dash. Dash Rendar should have been pushed. Disney Plus should have a Dash Rendar show to this day. He's that good of a character. But yeah, everyone's racing to catch up to Boba Fett. Fett was on his way to deliver Han to Jabba when another bounty hunter attempted a little smash and grab. So Dash knows, he pretty much knows where Fett could be heading. They're all following Fett. Guys, the symmetry of the Outrider and the Millennium Falcon here, awesome. And look at Killian Plunkett, though. He draws the undercarriage of the Millennium Falcon so effing well. Like I said, beyond talented. Yeah. And then if anyone can get us Boba Fett, he can. So Boba Fett is he's at a little bit of a pit stop. The other Bosk and Forlom right here, right? Or Zuckuss, but now he's Forlom. I forget that. Look, they're just like, look, the point is cooperation. You have Solo, we want him. Bosk is like, look, we want some of your bounty. We want some of your money. This is exactly what you would expect from bounty hunters, but they're also bounty hunters that were commissioned by the Empire. So there's a little bit of pushback to, like, what's bigger in the bounty hunter's life? Going against Vader and the weight of the Empire, or, you know, waiting for your next assignment because Boba Fett's the one that tracked him down. And you think if Bosk interrupted things for, or even IG-88, if any of these people interrupted Han going to Jabba, it would piss off Vader, right? Because I get it, Vader wanted Luke, but Vader also wants to disassemble the rebellion. So you think these guys would be on Vader's crap list? Whatever. right? But again, this is why we have these debates. But they're trying to negotiate with Boba Fett. Boba Fett's like, get to the point, Zekis. I have better things to do with my time. And then as they're chit-chatting, we hear a click, and ready? A click, a gun. Boba Fett spins around, think again, and we're off to the next issue. We're off to the next adventure. So these were pages from the Shadows of the Empire comic book adaptation. At one point, you only had the Shadows of the Empire adaptation and Dark Empire and droids as your Star Wars lore. Everything that Marvel Comics has done at this time is already... See, people get pissed when Disney basically backburnered all of this. They're like, how could you do that to the extended universe? When Dark Horse came on board, they backburnered the entire Marvel lore. So, again, time and time again, Star Wars will get rewritten in real time. We have to be conscious of that. Wow, I said conscious twice here. But yeah, you had droids, Dark Empire, Shadows of the Empire. And this was your complete Star Wars story. What happens between Empire and Jedi, and what happens after Jedi. And it's all here. And then we get a couple good tidbits with droids. This is when it was pure, guys. This is when it was pure and simple. Again, I just love these promo books. I really want to do something like this, though. I love the economic factor of this. It's so flimsy. You know, I think it's great, guys. Rock and roll. Subscribe, support. Say hello to Crypt. I love you guys.